And welcome to Credit Report Live. I'm Dan Odess, president of GlobalPro, where we manage risk to recovery, and we've managed more than $1 billion in recovery. I want to wish all of you a happy new year. I'm excited to be back in the studio from my holiday vacation with my family. We really, truly enjoyed spending time together, disconnecting a little bit, but not ever too much, because our clients need us when they're at their worst, and we totally understand that here at GlobalPro, and we want to make sure that you always have that information you need. So that's what this show is all about, is making sure that you have that information. We continue to deliver this year-round. We're going to keep on informing you of what changes are coming, whether it's legislatively, whether it's environmentally, products, information, whatever it may be. We want to make sure that we're delivering this content to you so you constantly have the information you, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a community association manager on the board, maybe you're just an interested unit owner or a homeowner that needs information about insurance or basic best business practices to make sure that your business has some continuity when it suffers loss and damage. That's what it's all about. And also, there are so many changes going on right now in the legislative sessions that it is remiss of me to say that you shouldn't be interested if you are a policyholder and you buy insurance, whether it's for a business or a community or as a homeowner. You need to know what is going on as it relates to real property insurance or business income coverages, because things are changing. There's many changes that occurred in 2022, particularly in the Florida markets. Florida being allegedly one of the most difficult insurance markets for insurance companies throughout the country. Now, my opinion on why it's difficult certainly differs from many of the legislators who passed some horrendous legislation last year. But it's not only just about Florida. Our office in Texas, New York, New Jersey, we're handling losses and damage throughout the country, some in California. We've consulted on things internationally. So we want to make sure that we're always keeping our ear to the ground and understanding what is going on, because we are boots on the ground at the forefront of these loss and damages, helping our communities recover from loss and damage. That's what we've been doing for more than a decade, and we're going to continue doing that. In fact, our efforts in 2023, you are going to see, are on another level. We are leaders in the insurance services industry, whether that's public adjusting, lawyers, insurance advisors, risk managers. We are at the forefront. There are so many copycats out there, and honestly, if that's all you got and you have no creativity, then follow our lead, because you know what? I'm okay. So as long as you are delivering resources and your efforts, energy, capital are going to those that are most needed, I'm okay with it. You know what? Follow in our footsteps, because we are at the front of the pack. We are pioneering ways to be at the front lines and to provide services and relief to those that need it most throughout the country and internationally. So if you have a lack of creativity or a lack of ideas, reach out to us if you need insurance services. Maybe you can join forces with us and help us deliver the needed relief and benefit and services that are out there. Who knows? Maybe our ideas, our core values, our focus align, and maybe we can be partners in those efforts. I welcome that. Competition is good. It breeds creativity. It breeds opportunity for consumers. I invite it. I hope to see many of you on the front lines with us doing just the same. Now, let's recap 2022, because I think it was a big milestone year for some good and a lot of bad reasons. First off, I'm going to read some statistics here, because quite frankly, there's no way I can memorize all this. And if you think I am that good, I appreciate that, and thank you so much. But last year, the U.S. experienced 18 separate billion-dollar weather and climate disasters. $18 billion weather and climate disasters, leading to the deaths of at least 474 people. Now that's a pretty tall number, man. That's my hearts obviously go out to all the victims, their families, their friends, colleagues that have suffered a loss due to Mother Nature and these damages. Following these events, each exceeding $1 billion, put 2022 in third place, tied with 2011 and 2017 for the highest number of disasters recorded in a calendar year. So 2022 was tied for the highest number of disasters recorded in a calendar year, behind 2021 with 20 events. And in 2020 with a record 22 separate billion-dollar events. So 2022 wasn't as bad as 2021. 2020 had 20 separate events, and 2020 had 22, and we have 4 less in 2022, which brings into 18 events. All right, so at 2020 you have 22 events. At 2021 you have 20 events, and then at 2022 you have 18 events, all over $1 billion in that 3-year period. That is a tremendous amount. Now, you had a winter storm, you had a wildfire, you had drought and heat, you had a flooding event in Missouri and Kentucky, you had 2 tornado outbreaks, southeast and southeastern United States. You had 3 tropical cyclones, Fiona, Ian, and Nicole. This is all in 2022. And then you had 9 severe weather hail events across many parts of the country, including derecho and the central U.S. That is I'm summarizing last year, just put in perspective as to what happened in 2022. Now, it wasn't as bad as 2021 and 2020 as it relates to total dollar values, but you can't forget about those 474 people that did lose their lives. That is a tremendous amount of life lost last year. Now, the damages from these events total approximately $165 billion for all 18 events. This surpasses 2021's total tally. Now, in 2021, there were more events that were over $1 billion, but the total 2021 damages were estimated at around $155.3 billion. That's with an inflation adjustment. Now, whether that's accurate or not, who knows? The economics of this are always a little bit in the gray area. 2022, the third most costly year on record, only behind 2017 and 2005. Now it's Hurricane Wilma, if we recall. Those that are in the Florida region can't forget that storm. And in 2017, you had obviously Hurricane Irma. So we had Hurricane Irma 2017 and 2005. So 2022, you had Hurricane Ian, right? Hurricane Ian was the most costly event of 2022. $112.9 billion estimated damages, ranks the 3rd most costly hurricane on record since 1980. That's behind Katrina in 2005 and Harvey in 2017. So what this has culminated in is obviously a focus on natural disasters. It's revved the engines of the legislators and the lobbyists on behalf of insurance companies to tamp down on these issues related to claims, to make the Florida market particularly more favorable to insurance companies, so they say, because they're going to pass reforms in 2022, because while 2022 hit all these records and was up there amongst the most costly years and all this other stuff, the legislator was also costing the policyholder big time. They were in legislative session, two special sessions called by the governor. Now, if you read the notice from the governors, and both of those, and I want to make sure that my team is going to provide links and the documentation to substantiate my position on this. Now, if you read the orders by the governor in 2022, calling the special sessions in early of 2022 and at the end of 2022, in early 2022 is a mixed bag. It was trying to address issues regarding AOB, largely assignment of benefits issues and contractors, but also some reform with regards to community associations. And then later on in the year, you saw a special session call specifically about insurance. Now, interesting fact, neither session was called to largely address commercial loss insurance. Okay. And I can say that because if you actually read the orders, particularly the first order, special session, it calls out homeowners insurance. And when the legislative session is talking about insurance issues, typically what they're talking about, whenever as it relates to property, they're talking about issues plaguing property insurance for homeowners. Those are your HO3, HO4, HO6 policies, potentially your DP1s, DP3 dwelling policies for rental properties. But really what we're focused on here is homeowners insurance, not the commercial lines insurance that you typically see sold to community associations. However, the commercial insurance companies, we have noticed, have tracked the sentiments of the legislators and their concerns, and I'm air quoting that, because a lot of their concerns are completely bullshit, based on nothing that is factually accurate, utilizing statistics that are lacking substance or speak to the issue that they're trying to actually address, okay? First off, they talk about a rise of cost of litigation, and they use a percentage statistic to build the foundation or their foundation of their argument that they need to tamp down on litigation issues as it relates to first-party property insurance litigation. But they never provide the actual dollar values behind those issues, right? And in fact, when they were challenged on this issue, there are a small group of legislators that are pro-consumer, that are trying to protect the consumer. Their voice is muted by a lot of other nonsensical conversation about issues that, quite frankly, are again, not substantive. But they have challenged those legislators that have proposed these bills and asked, where is this information? Because accordingly, there was supposed to be some reporting on these financials and some of the information which would make the legislation more informed. Now, there was a massive effort at the end of last year by many advocates to put on this information that the insurance industry didn't have and want earlier in the year when they were passing the laws as it relates to assignment of benefits. Now, even though there was unbelievable testimony provided at the end of the year that made it clear as day that what was being proposed in the bills was not going to, first off, do anything to impact your pockets as consumers in any way helpful to you, but also the foundation for which they were arguing the need for the institution of these bills, was not true and accurate and not proper. It fell on deaf ears, sadly. It was overwhelming testimony. I can't impress upon you this. It just seems as if people just don't give a shit at the legislative level about the consumer anymore. I just can't see how they do, given the amount of overwhelming testimony that was against the legislation that was passed. And sadly, none of the legislation that was passed in either the first special session or the second is going to do anything to help all of us as consumers in Florida. It's not making our rates go down. It's not, I don't see any insurance companies running to the market. In fact, the very legislators that actually promoted these bills have gone on record as saying, don't expect to see any change in the first 18 months, if ever. I mean, they literally have actually made statements regarding how you will not see any immediate impact. Well, what is the point of this aggravating process to go through to call a special session if it's not to advantage the consumer? I mean, that's the whole premise of it. Read the governor's order for these special sessions. It's to attract insurers to the market. It's to make insurance more affordable. Now, we talk about affordability because we're mostly focused on our pocketbook. The other thing that's going on that a lot of people aren't talking about is what you're actually being sold is stripped of coverage. So you're paying more for a lesser product because on the other side of this, which is not being lobbied for, but getting approved through the Department of Financial Services and by the administrators, are policy forms that lack the required coverages. I can tell you right now, if you read the Florida statutes for community associations and their insurable obligations, and you did a real analysis of the insurance that's being sold to them today, I think you're going to find a shortfall in it, that it's actually not compliant with the requirements stated in the actual statutes. You're buying whatever you can afford first, and then maybe you're tacking on something as an additional expense because your broker convinced you to purchase it, even though probably 2, 3, 4 years ago it was just included. It's remarkable how less coverage you have and how much more you're paying for. So while the legislator is fighting this fight against consumer advocates who are actually protecting people, and they're fighting utilizing information that, quite frankly, it doesn't actually to demonstrate what the true issue is. And I can say that because the legislators that are promoting the bills are also saying that don't expect any change. Don't expect more affordable insurance. Don't expect more insurance companies in the market. One went on record, and I just mentioned about 18 months. Come on. Like, I mean, look, I just went through, and part of the reason why I did this is I went through the last 3 years. How are you going to look me in the eyes and tell me that in 18 months I might see some savings when you don't have a clue as to what's going to occur over those next 18 months? And I say that because, yet again, the insurance companies are going to use whatever occurs in the 18 months as a basis to make further changes to their policies, the coverages you're purchasing, that you're paying more for now today than ever before. So these sessions called by the governor were total dumpster fires. They were total garbage, did nothing. All it did to you as consumers is it made it more costly for you to hold the insurance company accountable, okay? That's the first thing. Second of all, it stripped you of some of your rights, your right to assign your benefits to contractors. Now, there is some good in these laws, which requires your insurance companies to provide you an estimate of their damage. Like, no shit, why wouldn't they do that anyways? That's what you're worried about? And you're also worried about leveling the playing field, as you so called it, or whatever. Or yeah, I heard one call, oh, we need to level the playing field, there's too much litigation. Well, show me the dollars. Show me the dollars, the actual financial impact that this litigation has allegedly caused. And by the way, when you go pull these cases where these attorneys have been awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars in cases that are worth less than $100,000 by the courts, that took 5 years to litigate a $20,000 or $30,000 water claim that was originally denied by an insurance company, when coverage was so clear, and the insurance company went on to not only appear the lower court trial ordering 100% of the damages be paid to an insured, and then they appeal it. They appealed a jury award for 100% of the damages, and you got to go through an appeal process, another percentage on top of the fee that you're already paying, the trial lawyers that you originally engaged as a policyholder, and then you're worried about the hundreds of thousands of dollars the insurance companies are paying for the cost of litigation they caused or created the situation for. I mean, it's and then you strip civil remedy notice, the impact of this, you make it more difficult to file those things, which a consumer can file in complaining to avoid litigation. I mean, I don't know how many insurance companies actually take state-run mediation, which was, I mean, the laws were changed requiring an insurance company to notice your rights to go to state-run mediation. I can tell you, we try it all the time. We do it just to show our clients how ridiculous the insurance companies can be in most situations. And they're not all bad situations, but most situations, when we get to that mediation, state-run mediation, which, you know, the effort was to try to mitigate the litigation, right? We're all for it. Believe me, consumer advocates, most people I know, public adjusters and lawyers that represent policyholders, I can tell you, their orientation is around just getting the client what it doesn't advantage a public adjuster particularly for something to take longer than it should. It doesn't. They're working on a straight contingency fee basis. So the longer it takes you to get paid as a policyholder will take the public adjusters as long to get paid as well. And many public adjusters are mom and pops. I believe me when I tell you that if you actually go and looked at how many public adjusters are registered in every state throughout the country, and then you go and look at the articles written by insurance companies and their lobbyists about public adjusters, you would have to scratch your head to understand how so few people can make such a major impact on this trillion-dollar industry that is built to take your money, selling you a product that has less coverage in it than it has ever had before. Less coverage, more money. And all the legislation passed in Florida is total garbage. I would say, well, let me correct my statement. Not all of it. Most of it is total garbage. I can almost even say all of it, like the one instance where I told you where the insurance company has to give you an estimate. It's garbage. Why wouldn't they want to? Why wouldn't they want to show you? Why do I have to have a law that tells me that the insurance company's adjuster has to give me his licensing information if I ask for it? Why? Why does a law exist? Why does it need to exist? Why, as humans, can't we just be honest with each other? Why does it always have to be about profit for these insurance companies? What happened to the neighborly feel of an insurance agency in an insurance company? And insurance agents are some of the worst right now. I mean, honestly, if you go and look at all the fraud that's being committed, most of it has to do with insurance agents to begin with. Now, as it relates to property insurance, I'm hearing all kinds of craziness from insurance brokers. All right? I want to run through 4 headlines, though, before I get to that. At the end of last year, there was 4 headlines that came up. It says DeSantis claims, quote, stabilized insurance market, that they're stabilizing the insurance market. Well, but if you look at the legislators that were promoting these bills and voted for it, they're actually saying don't expect any immediate impact. Well, I thought the whole point of the legislative session was to stabilize the insurance market. I mean, the CFO came out and basically called public adjusters and contractors that were serving the interests of victims from the hurricane. Contractors and public adjusters, broadly paints them all. And I know he's tried to walk this back, but he did. He broadly painted them all as predators and locusts. All right. A massive group of professionals that don't have the egregious history like they try to make it out to be of taking advantage of consumers. They don't. It doesn't. Yes, there's a few bad apples, as he later on went to go say to try to walk back his comments that he regulates, that he's in charge of regulating, are all locusts and predators. All right. Now that's, again, historically, there's a few bad apples, no doubt. Won't even deny it. But historically, the issues are not as rampant as they want you to believe, and these insurance companies are profitable. If you actually break down how insurance companies make money and what they do, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. And they're selling you an inferior product today for a hell of a lot more money than they did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It literally does not add up. And they're blaming, they made a fraction of what is going on financially, dollars I'm talking about, dollars on an issue that they believe is plaguing or leading to insurance companies leaving the market in their insolvency. And I actually even heard just recently that one said insurance company that is allegedly insolvent before they claimed insolvency paid family members millions upon millions of dollars, and also continues to make money even though it's going through the receivership process. And I had an opportunity to speak with someone that has a tremendous amount of knowledge about the situation. And actually, they were being lobbied by the insurance company to allow them to go back to selling insurance because they are still making money, even though that they did pay themselves and their executives and their family members millions of dollars prior to the costing all of us as consumers more money to hold up that insurance company and pay for all of this investigation and everything else going on. Total nonsense. I mean, you can go back and look at Pose and Florida Family and everything else that went on. There's plenty of reports out there. Property Casualty Insurance blog.com. It does a great job. The Merlin Law Group has an awesome blog where they highlight some of these issues as these companies went bankrupt and what they were doing just around the time that they were claiming insolvency and where a lot of that money went and where the accountability was, and how actually the state of Florida went to try to claw back some of the money. I mean, look, you're not being fed the whole story here, and there's an amazing amount of effort on behalf of the insurance companies to make sure that you don't know all the facts, right? The second one was the Florida commissioner then resigns following the passing of legislation, and then independent adjusters that are legally representing the interests of insurance companies blow a whistle on Florida insurers for doctoring their own estimates. This is their own people getting pissed off that their estimates are getting doctoring. Now, some of these people were providing testimony to combat the horrific legislation that was recently passed, to demonstrate how horrible some of these insurance companies are in managing their claims, and to the extent that they will go to deprive U.S. policyholders of money. And again, fell on deaf ears. Not much change was made to address that issue. And then the last one is Citizens is non-competitive because it's, well, let's put it this way. It'll be the only insurer left because, as these legislators are saying, don't expect any immediate changes. I believe that Citizens will continue, no matter amount of lobbying efforts to minimize their capacity and the policies they're writing. I think that you're actually going to see is a reversal of that. I mean, I don't see how you can't It's just really a drain. I just wish at some point, and I'll leave you on this in stating this, is that I just wish some of these banks would wake up and realize what is going on, and how they really truly aren't protected these days. So, what to expect in this upcoming session? Well, it was assignment of benefits was a big topic. The first special session last year. The second one was attorney's fees. So what are we expecting the third one? Well, there's really nowhere else to go but public adjusters. So, and then they would basically make it utterly impossible for you to protect your interests as policyholders. Could you imagine being in the most expensive insurance market in the country with historically some of the worst products being sold for the most amount of money and having no advocates to protect your interests? Where's the balance in the scale there? What are these legislators doing? I really blame them. It's total garbage what's going on. I wish some people would just wake up and start to see it. As we start off in this new year in 2023, my hope is that level heads will prevail, that some legislators will wake up and realize the mistakes they've made, right their wrongs, and start to pivot on some of this stuff. Now, I can historically say that has happened. You have seen the repeal of laws that were hastily passed because of some political agenda. People woke up, realized it's not doing anything. It's, in fact, conflicting with some of the other obligations and interests, maybe even possibly leading to more litigation, which there is some conversation about that. And so we'll see. I'm hoping. I'm hopeful, and I believe that some of these legislators will wake up on the right side of the bed and right their wrong and change the direction in which we're going. Hold insurance companies accountable, make them report their actual profits and their earnings. Also, level the playing field when it comes to adjustment of claims. And I think you'll see a greater impact. So what are brokers saying about all this? Well, they're saying don't file claims because your rates are going up. Newsflash, your rates are going up. It doesn't matter at all whether or not you file the claim. It's the absolutely dumbest fucking thing I've heard come out of insurance brokers' mouths. By filing a property insurance claim, my rates are going to go up. I can tell you right now, many associations that are out there are contacting us about claims they filed many months ago because guess what? They filed a claim, listened to the broker not to hire a public adjuster, got underpaid on it, dealt with it, dipped into the reserves, got a renewal, rates went up 100%, and they're like, the hell with this. We want you to go back and look at our claim because we weren't paid properly. And we're reopening them. So as much as you think that you're actually advantaging your client, you're not. In fact, all you're doing is actually hurting your own business. Keep doing it, though. It's helping us here prove our value. We have more and more people coming every day to us to help us. I think it's sad to see brokers act in this way. But I would actually say right now, some of the biggest issues we have in this industry are brokers peddling misinformation about the process. They're stating things that they have no factual basis for. They're not actually producing anything to substantiate that. They're waiting longer and longer to do renewals. You have one particular broker here who has a sweetheart relationship with one particular insurance company selling commercial line insurance to big condo buildings, doing nothing but they can to protect that insurance companies while disadvantaging their own clients. I can say that because they tortiously interfered with our contract. Client came in, signed our contract. The broker came in and said, oh, no, let the insurance company do what they can. They're not going to want to renew you if you went with a public adjuster or whatever else. Interestingly enough, 45 days later, they're back with us. They signed our contract again. And there's already discussion about going with a different broker. So wake up. Your brokers are not there for you. They're balancing a relationship. They're and in fact, more so today than ever before, they're protecting the interests of the insurance companies. Why? The appointments are harder to get. The insurance companies are not recognizing a lot of AORs. When you change your broker, they sign an AOR, agent of record notice. And there's actually insurance companies that will deny a change of an agent of record letter and won't take on new accounts for a different broker because they don't have that same sweetheart. They don't believe they're protecting them as much as the other person. So what's that telling you? The insurance companies are taking care of the brokers more so than you will ever. Your brokers are enjoying an appreciation of the cost of insurance as it continues to go up. They don't give a shit that it doesn't have as much coverage as before. They're just going to tell you that's the best they can get you. Again, let's be honest, at the end of the day, their bread is buttered by insurance companies. That's who they're there for. This is my opinion. Your opinion of it may differ, but believe me, there's brokers out there that love us, that refer us business all the time, and we're out there making sure that their clients are taken care of. There's a symbiotic relationship between what we do as insurance advocates, as insurance coverage experts, and what brokers do, and we can work together. Every so often, there's these instances where brokers think that we're the devil, we're on the dark side, all we're trying to do is to make money and everything else. It's entirely not true. If that's the only thing that we're there to do, then we would inflate estimates. We would try to do all these other things, but we can't. Why? Because this is going to take longer to get paid. It's fraud. It's not the right thing to do. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't advantage the client. It goes against the core values here at GlobalPro. It goes against the pure foundation of what it means to be a public adjuster, what it means to be an attorney. It doesn't make sense to overinflate something for just the simple basis of just trying to get more money. Why? Because we want to substantiate the actual claims themselves. You don't want to commit fraud. But if you undervalue the claim, how is that any different? But I will tell you that for as many times as I've reported an insurance company for undervalue a claim for committing fraud, even though I've given them every opportunity to go back and change the estimate, I've never heard of an investigation into an independent adjuster for undervaluing a claim, even though there was such clear evidence that they knew that you should have included a certain amount of scope of damage that would have substantially increased the value of the claim. Why is that not fraud? Why is that not more of an issue? Why do we continue to talk about the minority of claims that are being represented by advocates and not the majority of claims that are getting underpaid and delayed and not paid? I mean, if you think back to Hurricane Michael and a few other claims, I mean, there are so many claims still open. If you look at what happened shortly after Hurricane Ian in Florida, if you look at many of the freeze claims in Texas that we continue to reopen, where insurance companies don't even go out and investigate, don't even actually go to the properties and look at these things. I mean, that's the real issue. That's the real problem here. We're not here to inflate things. We're not here to delay the claims process as some of these brokers will lead you to believe. Why would my involvement delay the process? If your obligations are to document the claim, as a policyholder, are to document a claim, and your broker hasn't given you a copy of your own insurance policy, which most often they don't, then how could you possibly represent your own interests? And as a fiduciary for a board, and I'll leave it at this, how do you not have a representative handling your claim for you in today's insurance market? You are not a claims expert. There is a mountain of evidence to prove the value of having a representative when you have a loss that is handling your claim for you, whether it's a public adjuster or an attorney. There's clear mountain of evidence to suggest that. And if you ignore that and you substitute that for your broker's opinions, who is not even there to adjust a claim, doesn't have a license to adjust a claim, is not there just to sell, is only there to sell your product, is not there to handle your claim, and the insurance company's adjusters are there to represent the insurance company, and you are unrepresented, you have no one representing your interests that is legally responsible and licensed to do it, then how are you protecting the financial interests of your association and exercising your fiduciary obligations? I just don't see how it is. And the last thing too is that immediately after emergency and you're done with your mitigation, you no longer have a emergency situation. It's a construction project. Why aren't you going through the same process? The process would be is first establishing a budget. That would be the adjustment of a claim, knowing how much money you have to spend. So if you didn't do that first and you just focus on just putting back the drywall, whatever your mitigation company did, which may not be the full scope of the work that's necessary to restore your property to pre-loss condition, well, again, you certainly have not protected the interest of your unit owners. You're certainly doing this to get them off your back. The unit owners are maybe frustrated and maybe blaming each other, whatever it may be, but you're not effectively administering the process and making sure that your interests are being protected. So let us know what we can do to you. Guys, I want to leave you with this. Why do we do the Recovery Report live? I say it in the beginning of the episode. I'm going to say it again. We want to make sure you have information you can use. You can see from everything I talked about today, there's a lot going on. And unfortunately, it's not really positive at the start of 2023. Why? Because of where we left off with special session in Florida, because of the major disasters that are occurring throughout the country. There's a lot that you need to be aware of. But let's stay positive, right? How do you stay positive? You plan for the worst and you educate yourself. Never stop learning. Be a part of the solution, not the problem, or find a solution to a problem. That's what we do here at GlobalPro. That's what we're going to continue doing. That's why we do this show. I would encourage all of you out there, whether you're a business owner or a board member. As a board member, why aren't you doing daily broadcasts or weekly broadcasts or monthly broadcasts to tell your association what's going on? With the access to video and cell phone and streaming and everything else, it's so simple and easy. I gave this recommendation just this past week to a board who's dealing with a Hurricane Ian loss, whatever else. I said, hey guys, why don't we just start live streaming some of this stuff so that you can see what's going on? Walk around the property with a cell phone and live stream it so people can log in. Create a group on Facebook or on Instagram, an Instagram handle. Set it private. Make sure that they send an invitation, whatever else, and start to live stream your efforts. Show them what you're doing. You don't need to essentially save it or whatever else, but maybe you want to for historical reference. But I think it'd be a great way to keep your board informed. And I think it's so easy. It's not costly. It's right out there. You all have a cell phone anyways, and the accounts are free. So go ahead and do something different this year. Do something to help educate your community, your fellow employees about the process and what they can do and what's going on in our community. So again, we're here every single week, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already, like us, follow us on all our social media, and make sure that you check out our latest edition of the Claims Advocate. It's a newsletter that we'll be pushing out. It's more of a magazine now, man. It's grown in content. Our team has absolutely killed it. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's a high quality magazine. It essentially started as a newsletter that I used to author myself. Now my team all jumps in and we have an amazing effort and really enjoy putting it together. I'll be honest with you. I really enjoy it. I hope you check it out. We're gonna make it digitally available and downloadable on our website. If you haven't already, check out the resource section. You'll see some of our prior issues. And this will be up there so you can kind of flip through it if you don't get a hard copy of it. If you want some hard copies for you or your community, reach out to us. Let us know. But again, hit the subscribe button, like us and follow us on all our social media. Make sure you have the information you can use. That's what this is all about. Everyone, have a happy new year. I hope you had some good time to rest and relax. Let's get after it here in 2023.